Welcome. Samvit audiobook Sanatan Dharma. Swami Ishwarananda Giri. Presented by Ashok Vyas. Chapter The Triple Dharma. The Upanishad says, Brahme Vedamamritam Purastad Brahmascha Paschad Brahma Dakshina Tascharo Tarena Brahme Vedam Vishwamidam Varishtam. That is to say, the deathless Brahma is in all directions. It pervades everything and is everything. Here is a clear statement of the absolute unity towards which Dharma promises to take us. Man is glad to accept that all is Brahma, but adds inwardly, except myself. He can never leave off his individuality, consider himself one with the rest. To avoid this error, the Vedas proclaim specifically Sarvam Tad Brahmayatma Brahma. All this is Brahma and this self is Brahma. This is the essence of Vedanta, the summit of all realizations. To reach to it, the Vedas prescribe special dharma. The Yajurveda states, Tametam Vedanu Vachanena Brahmana Vividishanti Yagyena Danena Tapasa Nashakena. The pious seek to know it through study of Vedas, Yagya, Dan, Tap, and utter renunciation. The Chandogya Upanishad of the Samaveda puts it in a different way. Yagyo Dhyayanam Danamiti Prathamaha. These are the foremost branches of Dharma, Yagya, Adhyayan, and Dana. Equating the two statements, we arrive at the truth that Dharma, as meant in the Vedas, is the means for knowing truth. And we also find here this Dharma crystallized into three definite shapes. One may ask, is this all that Dharma means? We can safely answer yes. All the innumerable things of Dharma come under these three when properly understood in their full context. Yajna is commonly understood as giving oblations to fire. In the Sabra Bhashya, Yajna is defined as Devato Deshena Dravya Tyagaha, that is, sacrificing or giving away certain material goods for the sake of a Devata or the godly. Here, sacrifice includes all forms of worships and Devata, all that are worshipful, gods, holy men, teachers, and our elders. Dana is also a giving away, but not to elders, but to those who are placed lower to us and are in need. Yajna is an expression of reverence and gratitude, dana of compassion and charitableness. In this way, yajna and dana both together form one's duty to others, while the third, adhyayana, is duty to oneself. It means learning, educating, developing oneself to one's own ultimate good. Now it will be clear how these three strands of dharma intertwine to weave the whole pattern of life. Since apart from duty to elders, youngsters, and to oneself, there is no other activity to be recommended. Special stress has to be laid on the last mention of the duties for two reasons. Firstly, it is the foundation of all dharma, the means and the end. Nextly, because there is every possibility of it being lost sight of, hidden by an overstressed conception of selflessness and service to others. It is good that a physician, moved by the sufferings of patients, should devote all his time and energy to them. But if the zeal encroaches in personal affairs of his own physical needs, that is not something applaudable. By injuring his own health, the doctor has done a great harm than by taking off 2 hours to serve himself. So in this case, serving oneself is not selfishness. It is like sharpening the tools of or keeping the machine fit. which is part of the job. A surprisingly large number of modern enthusiasts lack this simple perception. Recently, an old gentleman with a weather beaten appearance approached me at Delhi and informed that he had no means of support and would be glad if he was accommodated in our ashram at least till the epo making book he was working at was finished. I asked him on what subject he was writing. The easiest way to remove poverty from India within 3 years, came the impressive reply. Call it absurdity or downright lunacy. This has become the fad of the age. People talk of removing poverty and themselves cannot earn a full meal. Leaders lecture on establishing world peace while their own hearts are torn with peacelessness. First, let a man learn to have peace within himself, peace in his household and the office room, and then, whether he works for world peace or not, he has done a definite service towards that end by decreasing the number of restless souls in the world at least by one. To the contrary, if a man places the ideal of service to others first and thinks his own good will come of it slowly, then he is bound to be a failure in both. How can I help mankind has become an obsession. We should not forget that even great incarnations like Ram, Krishna, and Shankara could not do a permanent good to all mankind. Persons are not lacking even now who call them villains, voluptuous, and self impostors. And yet, these great leaders and teachers of man were not failures. In themselves, they had developed their personalities to utmost perfection, and with that perfection and power in hand, could protect and preach Dharma on a universal scale. If we aspire to follow in their footsteps and do at least an iota of the good they delivered to humanity, we must first apply ourselves to ourselves and not go about excitedly inquiring of others. The well does not make any noise or show to attract people, but whoever goes to it can be cleansed and cooled and quenched with its sweet, limpid waters. Whereas the sea, with all its beautiful appearance and day and night non stop singing and dancing, cannot offer a handful of water for the thirsty pilgrims. Let the waters of sweetness and peace well up within you. The world will come to you by itself. All that goes to accomplish this obtaining of a sweet and amiable character is implied by adhyayana. Proper service to elders and youngsters, that is, yajna and dana, respectively, demands of one to know who is elder and who younger, who is fit for worship and who is in need. Similarly, service to oneself, adhyayana, involves a thorough grasp of self knowledge. It will be a grievous error to say all this is for philosophers. If we lead a simple, contented life and do no harm to others, why should we bother about self knowledge? The art of living a simple, harmless life is a part of perfection. Gita says, Swa karmana tamabhyarchya siddhim vindati manavaha. By worshipping it through one's own duties, man attains to perfection. And to perform one's own duty, one is bound with oneself and forced to understand and control its nature. So we come back to self knowledge. As we told before, it is the beginning and end, path and destination. We cannot evade it at any cost. So, whether you are allergic to philosophy or not, this is to be swallowed. And actually, when we proceed within the inquiry of the self as an essential part of Dharma, we will find that it is not, after all, such a bitter